So in relationship to worldview, let's take a look at a few other things in Black Panther. One is colonialism. And I was watching this movie, I sat there and thought, I wish there was a place like Wakanda. You know, sort of a wish fulfillment that there would be a place like that. That there would be a place like that that would exist. You know, a place that's sort of been untouched. Unfortunately, there's really not. When it comes to Africa, Liberia and Ethiopia have never been formally, permanently colonized. Unfortunately, Ethiopia is the exception in Africa, not the rule. And so you wish that there was a place like a Wakanda. You know? There's a white guy in the movie, he's kind of a minor character. But they call him a colonizer. Don't startle me, colonizer. There's a part where one of the villains is looking at a museum piece, an African art exhibit, right, in, I think, London. He's basically saying he's going to steal it. She's like, you know, the guy says, how do you think your ancestors got these? You know, stole it like everything else. I mean, we can't deny what has happened in Africa. There's some reference to the slave trade, which makes sense. And the movie didn't get bogged down in any of that. I thought the stuff that it said about it and the way it portrayed it was really just right. The movie overall seemed to have just a good sensibility about it. Good mix of action, had a good mix of dialogue, the humor, the serious moments. They just got it pretty much just right. There's a couple parts here and there where you're like, okay, you know, or slows down. But overall, man, and it's just dope. It just looks good. The movie looks good. The characters are pretty well-defined characters. The dialogue matches the characters. It's funny. The movie's not a dumb movie at all. It's a beautiful thing to see. I wish there was more movies like this. There's been a lot of pressure and expectation on this movie, but honestly, I think this movie delivers. And then for the Christian, I think we can go in there and see a lot of worldview components that match up. I think we can also realize things that don't match up. T'Challa, Black Panther, is certainly a noble character trying to do the moral thing, and most Wakandans are as well, you know, portrayed as a noble, moral, loyal people, honorable society. The movie's not about putting other real societies or people groups or nations down necessarily. It doesn't spend time doing that. It's more about the Wakandans. I heard one person say, Black Panther is a futurist love letter to Africa. I don't know, maybe, maybe not. I don't know if vibranium is going to be discovered anytime soon. But a big theme in the movie is what is our obligation to others, but more on a global scale. And this has to do with interventionists or isolationist political theory. You know, do we get involved with this or do we keep to ourselves? And Wakanda historically has kept to themselves. But I mean, they talk about, should we have refugees in our borders? Should we invite them in? There's even a part where there's a debate about, should we save a person's life? And the idea was that, yeah, it was the right thing to do, but then the discussion was, well, it might compromise or create problems for our own society or culture. Real ethical dilemmas. None of the characters were portrayed as perfect or flawless. They all had very human traits. The movie's just good. I mean, you know, I'm getting all deep with it, but really it just even looked good. Like when they do the purple and the black in the suit, when they do the gold and the black in the suit, and the way it moves is just nice. In relationship to obligations to others, here's a mild spoiler, okay? I'm about to say something in a second here. Very mild. The movie towards the end, here it is, there's the UN speech that T'Challa, Black Panther, gives, basically saying, hey, Wakanda's going to start helping people out now because we haven't really been helping nobody out. The very end, when they go to Oakland, and this is another mild spoiler, and they're going to be doing Wakandan community outreach in Oakland. The place they're going to do outreach is in the United States of America, not in another African country. Maybe they are, but where they show it is Oakland. Nonetheless, when he's talking about this community center and stuff that Wakanda is going to be providing and building and all this, they're on this basketball court, and what's behind them the whole time he's talking? It's a church building. The whole time he's speaking, I noticed very visibly a church building is there. Now, is that on purpose? Is that an accident? I don't know. Could it be taken as, well, the church isn't doing it, so Wakanda's going to do it? Or the church is over there, right next to these problems, and they're not fixing it at all? It could just be, it's the scenery of the movie. I don't know. And really, nothing's in the movie by accident. The villain actually, at one point, is pushing Wakanda to also get involved, but through arming militants and revolutionaries of people of color throughout the globe with vibranium weapons. And listen to this argument that he gives at one point. He says, didn't life start right here in Africa? So doesn't that make all people your people? This is Killmonger. And the movie does have, I think, some mild evolutionary propaganda in a certain way in the beginning of the movie. It's pretty mild and you have to kind of pay attention to notice it. But that's interesting because all people your people. If evolution was true, morally, what would be your obligation to anyone else other than yourself? Or perhaps you could say, if you believe that it's better if you survive within your own clan or tribe or nation or whatever group, maybe some obligations to them to fight and conquer others. But really, on an evolutionary worldview, who can say you should be obliged to anyone for anything? And doesn't make all people your people. Even that, I mean, if people are your people, what does it mean you're supposed to do or not do? You know what I mean? Why not just go for self? Under an evolutionary worldview, because the movie has like an objective morality in that here's right, here's wrong, this is loyal, this is not, this is truth, this is false. But then yet, there's these undertones of evolution, which I think betray the morality that's played out, because you can't base any morality on evolution. This idea of brotherhood of man, you know, that was really big in the early 1900s. Sort of, you know, the dawn of the Industrial Revolution. Everybody was optimistic. Then World War I came and just smashed all that optimism. And a lot of people didn't understand. They thought we were headed towards a utopia and a brotherhood of man society. But you'll never get it. And in fact, really, the only way to really get that is if we understand, number one, we're all created by the same God. And our first ultimate obligation is to Him. You can see some of this show up in Paul's speech at Mars Hill, the Areopagus in Acts 17. He speaks about all nations are from one blood, but he talks about their obligation to God first. It has to start there with the vertical relationship before we can talk about the horizontal relationship. You can see that at the end of the Bible in Revelation. So Revelation chapter 5, it's speaking about the people of Christ, the people of the Lamb, and who they are and what they're going to sing. And why do people unite? They always unite around something bigger themselves and some kind of common cause or goal. But we'll never get people on this planet united because nobody has the same common cause or goal. The nature of human nature, it won't happen yet. But at the end, God's people do unite around the Lamb. And listen to Revelation chapter 5, verse 9 says, they sang a new song, saying, worthy art thou to take the book and to break its seals. This is in the book of Revelation, last book of the Bible. For thou wast slain and didst purchase for God with thy blood men from every tribe and tongue. So didst purchase for God with thy blood men from every tribe and tongue and people and nation. So all types of people. To the Hebrew Israelites watching this, I hope you understand this verse. And thou hast made them to be a kingdom and priests to our God, and they will reign upon the earth. And so then God shapes them back into one people. That's really the only way you get it. Real quick with Black Panther, the movie looked good, it sounded good, it had a lot going for it. I'm going to see it again. If you want to learn more about Black Panther, you know, some of the comics may not be kids friendly, but here's a small mini book that I recommend. It's kind of an all ages Marvel book called Black Panther Adventures, and has some old, some new, a good little mix. It's not too expensive. A great way to get started. Now, if you watch the BET special that I watched, the animation is excellent. It's really well done, but it is not kid friendly. It's violent, it's graphic, it has sexual situations. So it's high quality and pretty intense. The Black Panther thing that aired on BET a while back. And definitely, if we were reviewing that in regards to Worldview, it would be a different discussion because they really go after Christianity in a lot of ways in that one. But this movie did not. I hope people see it, and I hope more movies are like this. With that, I want to say, keep your ear to the street and your mind on Christ. Oh, by the way, subscribe to the channel. There's some boxes. See the boxes? Click on those. Or click on that one. That one. Hold on. Click on that one. That box right there. And then watch some of these other videos.